So intersectionality, it is a theory of interlocking systems. Basically what it says is that people are situated in between different systems of oppression. What do I mean by systems of oppression? We're talking about institutional ways in which people feel othered, right? So we're talking about things that have to connect with like poverty or economic status. We're talking about racial issues. We're talking about racial identities or ethnic identities, honestly, which they're different. We're talking about gender. We're talking about sexual orientation, right? All of these different like systems, right? And they are systems because we're talking about these things as they relate to how we have socially constructed our ideas of race, gender, class, whatever, how they interact on a particular body. So if I'm taking an intersectional approach to understanding other people, what I'm saying is that I'm using factors such as a person's intersection of poverty, race, and college education to understand why a person may have the perspective that they do. So I think one thing about intersectionality that gets people in a lot of trouble is that they use this as kind of a calculus to try to understand a person's situation within a system of oppression. And what I mean by that is really mostly that people try to use intersectionality as a way to calculate who's more oppressed or who experiences the greater extent of discrimination, right? And this is not actually how it's supposed to work, and this is not what intersectionality means. Intersectionality is an analytical approach, right? So it's a perspective, it's a methodology that we use to understand a particular situation, not to describe it in any sort of way or make any sort of recommendations off of it. So like for me, for instance, I identify as Black, I am female, I am bisexual, I am poor, but I am college educated, right? And so all of these things kind of work together in terms of my identity. So for instance, I may face some sort of racial discrimination because I am Black, but I'm college educated, so I don't have to worry about things such as like linguistic oppression. People do talk down to me, but I have the resources to engage with intellectual conversations. I'm privileged in the fact that I can keep up in political conversations. I'm privileged in the sense where I'm in a position now, especially as a professional student in graduate school, like I'm part of the knowledge creation process. And so that gives me access to things that, say, someone who is maybe Latinx, also poor but not college educated, I have access to things that they can't, simply because I have the privilege of going to school. So yeah.